Now, the US presidential election is fast approaching and Kamala Harris is finally out and about doing interviews. Well, I say interviews, but they're more like word cuddles on camera, like this one with Stephen Colbert.
You first became the nominee and named Tim Walz as your vice president nominee. People were calling it the vibe election. All the vibes were all good. But elections, I think, are won on vibes because one of the old saws is they just want somebody they can have a beer with. So would you like to have a beer with me so I can tell people what that's like? Okay. This was... Now, we asked ahead of time because I can't just be giving a drink to the Vice President of the United States without asking. You asked for Miller High Life. You asked for Miller High Life. I'm just curious.
Okay, the last time I had beer was at a baseball game with Doug.
So cheers.
Cheers.
There you go. Ooh. That tastes like the beautiful city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Champagne and beers.
Give me strength, hardly hard-hitting. Or this one with The View.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact. Yeah. The work that we have done, for example, capping the cost of insulin at $35 a month for our seniors is something I care deeply about allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices.
Yes.
And bring the cost of prescription medication down for seniors, but my intention is to expand that for all Americans. The work we have done to invest in American industries, whether it be in terms of manufacturing and creating almost 800,000 new jobs around manufacturing, those were all a shared priority.
Nothing she would have done differently, huh? Not the wide open southern border, spiking illegal immigration, the flood of fentanyl, or the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Interesting flex. I assume she's just hoping the audience isn't that politically engaged and hasn't noticed the fact their standard of living in the US has nosedived in the last 3 years. But to be fair, in the interview Kamala Harris did with 60 Minutes, there were parts where she was pressed for answers, and it just shows her lack of match fitness.
I've been covering the border for years, and so I know this is not a problem that started with your administration.
Correct.
But there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
But what I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay.
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today, because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
But should you have done that?
We have cut the flow of fentanyl by half, but we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
That was untidy. I love how it's now all Congress's fault. Anyway, that said, one savvy observer, they noticed this.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
That looks like a big miss. James, you're a producer. How does that even happen?
It happens because CBS appear to have put their personal advocacy at such a center point of their thinking that they're very happy to become Kamala's PR team. But there's a bigger issue here, which is that even with what appears to be selective editing, and even with the friendliest interviews that she can possibly have, these are still awful answers from an unserious candidate. I mean, the clip you just played there, I wrote it down. The work we have done has resulted in movements. That sounds like an AI-generated LinkedIn influencer. And you also played the View clip and the Colbert clip. And I thought that View clip was very telling because she's asked very clearly, what would you have done differently in the last 4 years? Now, keep in mind, Kamala Harris is trying to put herself as the change candidate. Her phrase is, we can't go back. Now, for her to say that she wouldn't have done anything differently over the last 4 years is a complete reversal of that entire thinking. So she's given a couple of hours to reassess, okay, what else do I want to say? What else would I have done? And she goes on Stephen Colbert and she's asked again, what would you have done differently? And she still can't come up with anything. It is mind-boggling how bad she is at friendly interviews.